it's so clear the statement from the federation, from Matt, the sporting director. I think, like explained in this statement, we all have a conversation between each other, and I think that the best decision in that case is what is going to happen is to give rest, and of course, when you assess all the circumstances and the things, not only from Christian is not for different players. I think to take the best decision, thinking in the principal objective that is the World Cup, is really important. Always, how and everyone can have different opinion. Many people can say it's really important for us to be all together for the last time before the World Cup, but always like a coaching staff, like we always listen the player, and then of course we take the decision. We have our own idea about everything, but I think after the consideration in every single case, and in that case about Christian, I think we decide the best for him, for the best for the team, for the best for the national team is the decision that we made.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thanks, Michael. Hello, Mauricio.
Hello, how are you?
Given Christian's absence, but also the absences of Anthony Robinson and Weston McKennie, I mean, how much are your preparations for the World Cup compromised and negatively impacted because not everyone's going to be together, and this was the last time that the whole group could be together for a really extended period of time before the World Cup. So how much does this impact you?
Yeah, sometimes we give too much importance, no, in to be together, and sometimes the group maybe sometimes doesn't work in this way or build in this way. I think every single circumstance, I think we need to consider it because it's still 1 year to be in the World Cup. It's true that it's possible that to miss an opportunity to have all the players that maybe you have in your head thinking in 1 year, but I think in the same time it's so exciting to see different players, young player that maybe not played, or they are going to make the debut in the national team. I think people that maybe can challenge, different names that everyone consider that maybe is going to arrive to the World Cup. I think it's important to create this challenge. I really believe that to build a team is about to stay together, yes. To have time to work, yes. But I think we cannot underestimate the player. Players are so clever. The most important is how we are going to build the core of the player that really feel that how important is every time that you spend, even if you spend not too much time, is the quality of the time that you are going to be together. Maybe you can spend one month together, but it's the attitude or if you don't want to stay, or if you don't have the energy, or you doesn't feel great, sometimes it's better not to be there. And I think all the consideration that we were working in the last few months after March, I think we create the best roster that we think that can deliver, what we wanted or what we want. And I think it's important to think in people that can challenge in 1 year time some names, that everyone consider that need to be because they are a good player or because they are performing well today. And I think is to create this competitivity on the squad is very, very important. I am so excited to work with this squad. I think we need also to give the credit, not only us, the coaching staff, is not all the area, the scouting, and of course with the sporting director, with Matt Crocker and all the people that is in the federation that was working, and we were assessing more than 100 players. To make the list was so difficult, 60 players, and then now to go with 26. I think it was so difficult in the moment to make the election, no? And I think we were so hard putting all the circumstances and the situations to create the best roster. First to play, to compete in the 2 friendly games, to work from the June 1, and then to prepare the World Cup. that is going to be really, really important, that we need to send a signal to our fans that the team that we want to be in the next year until to the World Cup, and then of course the World Cup be in our best. But I think it's a great opportunity for different players to have the chance to challenge and to try to get a place in 1 year time to the World Cup, because I think that is really, really important for us. I think that is for me is, the most important thing now. We are working for the national team. We are working for not only few players, we are working for the whole country and the players that are abroad of USA, but also with the player. They start competing in February, March in the MLS, that they are fresh, they are already in competition. And of course, that also is a point important, because we wanted to mix and to have this mix with energy, because other players that are in the best condition, in a physical and in mental, and then that is important.
Next will be Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Mauricio, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
How much of the decisions were based on players, fatigue or injury, the regulars not being selected, and how much of it maybe was trying to shake things up or send a message after the results of the Nations League with many of your top players? Thanks.
Very good question. I will give you and the people be, intuitive, but no, I think the most important for me, like a coach, is not to punish. I don't like to punish. I think the most important here is that we are there to try to bring our knowledge and try to translate our experience to an organization that is not an organization with 100 or 100 and few years. I think USA Soccer, if you compare with the big, confederations, maybe we can say that we are a young federation, and the culture is completely different, because we are talking about soccer. Soccer is in the country is fighting to try to find our place there, and of course we are talking about women and men is different too. But I think if you compare with NFL, American football, or basketball, or baseball, or hockey, I think we are a little bit below, but I think that is a great opportunity to match this type of a sport. That is why I think we are there to try to translate our culture, try to understand, okay, how the people are there. I think we have a big knowledge about that, and of course to try with our example and with our knowledge to translate how to compete in our best, is to try to get the best from our player, also to try to help the federation in all the areas that we can be influential. No, I think that is important. But in your question, I think it's not to punish. I think it's about to, if we didn't perform in March, is the first responsibility is my responsibility. But of course, after to analyze and to see all that the thing where we're going, I think it's important for us also to find different solution, or try to find different way to approach. And one of the things is to give possibility to maybe different player to join the national team.
Next would be Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Mauricio. I'm going to sneak two questions in here if I can. The first is just on the decisions around Yunus Musa and Josh Sargent. And the second, going back to the day when you were announced as coach, you talked about how it didn't matter if it was Copa America or World Cup or friendly when you played for Argentina, it all meant the same because of what you were representing. And I wonder, how those dynamics change a little bit now with national teams because players are playing so much more. The number of games that they play at the club level, the international level. We have a new tournament, Club World Cup this summer. How do you think the demands on players are changing, and how do you think that impacts national team relationships and the role of a national team and kind of having to understand the weight on players versus the players, desire to represent their national teams against kind of the way their body feels?
I start for the last question. No, I think all the players want to compete for your national team, and I think the demands today are so high, and the level that they need to perform, and the demand from in all the areas that are affecting like the physical condition and the mental stress and everything. I think it's important how we assess. That is a big responsibility after a big season, a long season, traveling, playing, competing Wednesday, Sunday, winning, losing, performing well, performing not so well. I think we need to consider after 10, 11 months competing every single circumstance. And then what I need to tell you is every single circumstance always is different. All we are different, and in the way that we deal with that is different. That is why we need to consider it in individual way to the player, knowing the player and listen the player. And that is after we have the capacity and the experience and the knowledge to make our our decision. Always, I think we are going to take decision thinking in the balance, in the balance in between defending the national team, the interests of the national team, but defending also the player interest, and that is so important. But I think here we cannot talk about nothing more that all the players want to be on the national team, all have commitment with the country, all want to be, but sometimes you need to prioritize things because always it's sometimes some risk and the balance, you can lose the balance. And then you asked me about why not are Sargent and Musa, no?
Yes.
That was the second. Well, Sargent is a decision, is a only football decision that we need to choose between different striker. And in the case of Musa, he communicated us to the federation Monday that because of personal problem, he withdrew from the list. He is going to be or was planned to be on the list, on the squad, on the roster, but he withdrew himself for personal reason, and that's it. We cannot go more deeper in that question because when that happened, it's up to the player to share or not to share that problems.
Well, Paul Ivas would be proud of you, so thanks for representing. Next will be Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mauricio.
You're welcome.
We talk about the absences of Christian and Tim Weah and even Gio Reyna, and these are the guys that generally are in charge of scoring and setting up goals for this team. And you look at the group you have here, and it's a lot of familiar faces, guys who've been around the national team, and guys like Balogun and Downs who you haven't gotten to work with yet. Heading into this Gold Cup and these friendlies, how do you kind of envision your attack looking, and how do you kind of compensate for the guys that will be missing?
I think we cannot go to the competition or go to the two friendly game missing player or thinking that we are not going to be competitive or we are not going to score or we are not going to do well because we are missing player. I think the good example is March. I think with all the names, I think that everyone I think was agree with us. We didn't perform. That was another thing that thing that happened and we cannot change. But I think the important thing is to provide to the new player the possibility to challenge, and to challenge the possibility to take a place. I think my first conversation is, the first approach that we are going to have when 1st of June, when we'll be all together, is listen, guys,